I know. I'm so sorry. I was out of the country. I was in the Mediterranean.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I was in Greece. Oh,
Yes.
life is amazing. But anyway, I had to come back and I had to come back to you all. So welcome back to another episode of Sister to Sister. It needed to be said. It's me, your girl, Jamara Terra, aka She, Me, Her. And I have with me my amazing co-host.
And Jean Moss. And this is a grown-ass woman.
That's okay. It's okay to be grown.
Yes.
Sometimes it's overrated though. But
they need to learn how to be grown.
I know, right? So I am so excited tonight. Are you excited?
I'm excited because
do you all see this amazing creature sitting here in between us?
Yes.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is our special guest for tonight.
Yes.
Her name is Miss Jade Williams. Isn't she stunning?
Hey guys. Wait, but let's let them know something.
Oh, sponsors. We have to thank our sponsors first, right? So before we go any further, we must thank the Flight Center.
The Flight Center, yay!
For hosting us and housing us and, always opening the doors to us. We are so appreciative of you all.
Yes.
We don't know what we would do without you. And our loving, caring neighborhood, Starbucks, for always supplying us with our libations and our banana bread and our chocolate croissants and
all that good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Go on Broward Boulevard and check them out.
That's Broward and 29.
29. I didn't say this time, Jamal. I did not.
29. Yes. So we're just so happy to be here with you all tonight. Thank you so much. Please make sure you go to my YouTube channel and click subscribe.
Yes.
Please share, and click subscribe. We are going to have an amazing conversation tonight. I cannot wait to get into it. But before we get into it, you want to say anything before I introduce Jay?
Well, one thing I want them to know that this beautiful young lady that's joining us today is a student. And I know I'm serious. That's something to be proud of, because we don't want y'all to get it misconstrued. All these three beautiful brown women up here. We want you to know we are two adults and this is a young lady.
This is a baby.
Right there. Yes.
Baby
I want y'all to be
doing her thing. So listen, y'all. I want to introduce to you all Miss Jade Williams. So.
Yes.
Miss Jade Williams is an aspiring international relations specialist, interested in communication studies, currently cultivating several leadership roles in her school and community to gain experience for her future career. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let Jade talk a little bit about herself. So you all can get to know her and love her just like we have gotten to get to know her and love her. So Jade, the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, well, thank you guys for having me. This is quite an honor. So like I said, my name is Jade. I'm 16. I'm a student at Fort Lauderdale High School and Broward College. Currently trying to get my degree so that I can get into the workforce and do some wonderful things. I'm a part of several communities in my school, Latinos in Action, Mom UN. I love diplomacy, current events, all of that good stuff. Aspiring diplomat, as I said.
And how old are you?
I'm 16.
16 years old. That is, wait a minute, Jamara, when I first met Jade, I was blown away. I'm going to tell you. 16, the community needs to see Jade and needs to see more young ladies like Jade. And I was thinking when I first saw you, and I went to when I was 16.
Yeah. No, but listen.
No, for real.
So, how I came to meet Jade. So, as she stated, she attends Fort Lauderdale High School, and so I was doing a presentation because she is in the law program at her high school. So, and as you all know, I do work for the state attorney's office, and so I was at Fort Lauderdale High School doing a presentation to their law program, of course, talking about what else, human trafficking, of course, and sexual exploitation. After the presentation, it was a auditorium full of students. auditorium full of students. Some of them was in their sleep, some, whatever.
Yeah.
The majority of them was paying attention. The majority were paying attention and they were interactive and they were engaging. But 2 students came up to me after the presentation to dialogue with me, and one of those students was Jade. And when Jade approached me with the attitude of wanting to glean, wanting to learn from me.
Awesome.
And that's what she said.
Awesome.
She's like, I would love to. She was like, do you have interns? Do you intern? And I said, and it took me a minute because I was like, I'm in this Fort Lauderdale High School. I said, don't you have class? Then I said, don't you have class? Like, how you gonna? She was like, no, whatever you need me to do, whenever you need me to do it, just let me know and I'll be there. And I was like, okay. And so I gave her my card and I said, send me a little bit of information about yourself,
yes.
So I can get to know who you are. Baby.
What you came with?
I got back to my office. No, I'm telling y'all, no cap. I got back to my office. This child had emailed me a speaker page.
Yes.
A speaker page. Y'all, have you ever seen my website or seen my Facebook page? I have a whole speaker page. If you go to my website, shemeher.org, you'll see my speaker page with everything that I do. Like y'all see this? This right here? This is what the child emailed me. This. I said, oh my God. I immediately contacted her. It was the day before our last podcast that
right.
in September.
Yes.
No, August.
August. Yeah.
And I said, you need to come to my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I need some people to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And guess what? She showed up.
On time.
She had her mom drop her off.
Early.
She was early. She showed up.
Uh-huh.
But before she got here, I was telling Angine and our producer, who you don't see, but y'all know he back there.
Yeah.
I was telling them I was like, y'all, let me tell you about this amazing young person I met today. Blah, 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 blah. And then when she got here, they were like, oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God. And so we came up with the idea, you know what? More people need to see this.
16 years old.
16-year-old brown girl, Black girl doing her thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are you from this country?
No, I'm actually from Jamaica.
And how old were you when you came to this country?
I was about 5 years old.
You about 5 years. Okay, and so you came to this country at 5 years old. Totally new culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Totally new school system, right? Especially in Broward County, because ain't no school system like Broward County, whatever. It is what it is,
I know that's so.
Thank God for Broward County school.
Because I think when I came here, I was actually in private school for elementary school, which definitely set the foundation. But when I got to middle school, that's when I got exposed to the Broward County.
Yeah.
I went to William Dandy, so if you guys know
Okay,
that school. Yeah, that was definitely a culture shock, I'll say. But it was definitely really nice, being in private school. Like, the comparison between being in private school and public school definitely allowed me to see just the difference in, how kids were raised, how they act. Because I was with my private school was very secluded. It was a small school. Everyone was Black Jamaican or other Caribbean. And then I get exposed to William Dandy, and yes, I'm still around other minorities, but it's a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a different culture. So how did you acclimate? How did you adjust? So you went from Jamaica to the United States,
Mm-hmm.
from private school to public school. And listen, I'm not here trying to, bash any school, but you have some schools that are a little bit more lively than other schools. You have some schools that are very quiet, and some schools that are not. William Dandy was not a middle school that was a quiet school.
Right,
Everybody,
right.
we know that. It is what it is.
It was urban.
It was a little rambunctious, right? But thank God for the teachers and the educators and the
Yes,
administrators
we not saying anything
that, that put in their time and their work there, because somebody got to do it, because I can't.
Right.
and don't want to.
I won't.
You will not do it. So explain to us how you were able to acclimate yourself and stay so grounded
And focus.
and focused with all of those adjustments going on in your life.
I think because from a young age, I've always been very goal oriented, very driven. I knew what I wanted, and I would always figure out what I needed to get there. I come from a family of healthcare workers, so William and I was in the pre-med program. And, I love the sciences, the math, not anymore, math is not my thing, but I definitely enjoyed it. And whatever I did, I definitely did it well. And when it came to just being in that environment, it was definitely really hard because, yes, I was with other students like me. There were other magna kids in the pre-med or the law program taking these advanced classes, but there were still other students that were getting into fights every day, that were like aggressive to teachers, and then stuff like I'd never seen before. And they're students who look like me,
So thank you
Mhm.
for saying that, because this is going to segue into one of our main topics of discussion, which is going to be the Black girl and the myth.
Right.
Right? So the reason that I wanted you here tonight, and I wanted people to put eyes on this, because there's a myth.
About Black girls.
There's a myth about Black girls and Black women that is circling the universe, right? And some of those, and a lot of those main myths are, we are angry, we are aggressive, we are strong, we are very sexualized, we don't need protection, right?
Mhm.
So with all of those stereotypes, right? Because, and let me just go back to this. Now you said that, okay, you're from Jamaica, and you said that you went to, your private school was primarily all Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
So there was a similar cultural aspect in your private school.
Yes.
And so when you left private school and went to middle school, it was a culture shock for you, because even though you were with people that looked like you, that were Black people, there are different cultural barriers and boundaries that are set up, correct? But at the end of the day, when this world sees you, when the school system sees you outside of that secluded school system that you were in, you were just Black.
You was just Black.
Nobody cared that you were Jamaican. Nobody cared that you were Caribbean. You were Black.
Mhm.
And that's what I need people to understand, that it's great to have culture.
Right.
It's great to honor your culture. It's great to be proud of your culture. You should be proud of your culture. However, when it comes to Black people, I don't care where you are from.
Yes.
In the
Say that
United
again.
States of these Americas,
You are
you are Black,
all day.
okay?
Mhm.
You are Black. And that just has to be said, right?
Mhm.
Because we have a huge disparity among each other.
Right. Amongst Black people.
Yeah,
in
each other.
our culture.
Right.
Yes.
Because of the cultural differences and
Yes.
cultural barriers, and the fact that, some people just don't want to identify. And,
Right.
I get it, but at the end of the day, if we all standing in a line,
They're not gonna pick you out.
and if I'm not wearing something that identifies where I'm from, who I am,
You're just
everybody gonna be Black.
Yeah.
Right? So going into that type of transition, right? And I don't know if you've experienced, while being in public school, because you're now a junior
Yes.
at Fort Lauderdale High School. And when I was at when I was doing the presentation, there were students in there, all different races,
Mhm.
ethnicities,
Mhm.
ethnicities and everything were in the auditorium. Have you, or do you know of anyone, your peers, that have experienced being narrated as one of these myths?
I have actually, especially not me personally, but going to middle school in William Dandy, you see a lot of things. Like, a lot of girls getting into fights with other girls, getting into arguments with teachers, and just seeing those interactions, they tend to get loud and expressive, and it's misinterpreted for aggressive and hostile. And then that's when that kind of label sticks with you, because then they'll get suspended, a lot of harsh disciplinary actions, and a lot of times you don't see that in other races.
You don't see what in other races?
Just the harsh disciplinary actions for the same circumstance.
Okay, so okay,
Good point.
so you're saying that the black girls would be behaving in a certain way, but so would white you don't have to you don't have to say stuff in the state. So don't feel pressure.
Right.
Because we say whatever we want to say on it. So you would see white girls doing certain things, and then you would see black girls doing certain things, but black girls will receive one punishment and white girls will receive another punishment, but they were for the
Doing
same
the
act.
same thing.
Right. Which leads me into what we call push out, right?
Push out.
So if you all have never read the book Push Out, you need to read the book Push Out. Our organization, Brown Human Trafficking Coalition, a couple of years ago, we did an event on it. And the book Push Out is talking about the criminalization of black girls in schools. And let me tell y'all something. The school is one of the main places.
Yeah.
The main locations where black girls are stereotyped, where there is a narrative that they are aggressive, they're angry, they don't need the same protection as the other students, right? So just like Jay said, black girls are treated more harshly for the same exact offenses as white students. They're expelled and kicked out of school at astronomically higher rates than their white counterparts for the same behavior. And that is what we're talking about when we're talking about changing the narrative, right?
Yes.
So Jade and I were talking before we went live, and she said something. She said, what you told me, you have to be careful and watch yourself and how you talk. Because why?
Because especially growing up, seeing how I can get interpreted, I have to be very careful on, how I carry myself, what I say, because especially being black, you make the smallest mistake and it will be over for you.
It'll follow you everywhere you go. And then you got the label, and now you're stigmatized with a known one of the factors.
One of the myths,
one of the myths.
She's aggressive.
And that's perfect, but it's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many other young ladies that don't have the guidance that you have, that don't get the talk, don't get the mentorship, don't get, told how to conduct themselves in a manner not to get that stigma. So I think this is perfect. So that we as adults in our communities can start pouring into, she's from another country, and we have young ladies here, 16 years old, that don't even know what they're going to do. No one is directing them and teaching them how to conduct themselves as young ladies. So it's a lot of mentor organizations that come around. We got to do more in our community for our children, not just the girls, the boys too, because our black boys go through a lot as well. But right now the topic is our girls. And I think this is perfect because she's an example. She's a role model, and I like that.
She is. And so when we're talking about the misinterpretation and the comparison, and I say all the time how, and when you made that statement, I have to be careful. I'm very careful about what I say and how I say it, because I don't want them to accuse me of being aggressive. That really pisses me off. That really pisses me off, because I have seen, because listen, I have history. My professional career goes back to Department of Juvenile Justice, law enforcement, victim advocacy, state attorney's office, and I myself have witnessed. I have witnessed black and brown girls trying to stand up for themselves, trying to get their needs met with their words. Okay, okay? And being labeled aggressive because, or angry or ungrateful because they don't want to accept help from the great white savior, right? That they feel they should be getting. So they're aggressive, they're angry, they're ungrateful because they are standing up for themselves and expressing their needs clearly and effectively. But because their eyes are not lowered, their head is not bowed. Right?
Looking them right in the face. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, when you talk about that girl, and when I talk about that girl was me. I was the aggressor. I was the loud one. I was the one, you know, so I can relate to being that young lady that, you know, I'm getting told who and how I should be. That was totally different than what, you know, what I was taught. You know, now you I was every label there was.
Right.
But it was no help.
Right. And then you were getting told what you needed to fix you. Instead of being asked what you needed
to fix me.
You were being told what you needed. And so, and that therein lies the problem when you stereotype someone, when you put a myth or a label on them, when you create a false narrative of them, you essentially take away their voice.
Yeah, their power.
You take away their voice because they don't want to be looked at a certain way, because they don't want to be interpreted a certain way, because they don't want to be identified a certain way, they hide who they really are. Because listen, and I ask people all the time, and I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have a voice? And people interpret, a lot of times I'm noticing, voice with volume.
Right, and that's not so.
Because I don't care how loud you can talk.
Right.
If you're not saying anything, you just making noise. So there's a difference between having a voice and having volume, right? So when I ask you, do you have a voice? Do you know what your voice is? Do you know what your voice sounds like?
Yes.
Right? So you're capable of verbalizing your needs.
Yes.
Right? To anybody.
Yes.
Not just certain people, right? Because what I notice is that I see the black and brown girls, they're told that they are aggressive, they're told they are angry, they are told that they are assertive, but the little white girls are called tenacious and go-getters. And they really know what they want, and they're going after what they want, and they don't take any crap. But you have a black girl saying the exact same thing, but because of who it's coming out of,
it's not received.
And then a different definition is given. And so now you've created a character.
Yes.
Because I completely agree with you. A lot of the times my directness is misinterpreted for disrespect. Or my assertiveness is aggression. Just because I speak confidently does not mean I'm aggressive.
Please say that again.
Girl, teach the
I
people.
speak confidently does not mean I'm aggressive.
Teach the people.
Yes. I mean,
teach the people. Teach the people.
I'm over here. I want to get up. You know, because even as a black woman in today's society, we are being scrutinized with those same images, and taunted with those same images, and you sitting here and you're saying just because. No, I don't accept all that from, you know, you're gonna get this directness.
Yeah.
Just how it comes.
Yeah. And
that's why it need to be said.
It need to be said. Listen, and you know, we don't mind saying it.
No. That's why it need to be said.
We don't mind saying it. So I posted something the other day. I hope I still have it on here. So it's like, yeah, your assertiveness is interpreted. Did you say your assertiveness is interpreted as, your directness is interpreted as disrespect?
Yeah.
Because you speak up for yourself and being disrespectful.
Yes, and because I know what I'm saying.
Girl, you gonna teach the people. Teach the
16
people.
years old. Some of these adult women can't even express their feelings, emotions.
Because that's the thing, I'm very clear about what I want. I do not hesitate when I speak, and a lot of times people are intimidated by that.
Yeah. And because you're a child, and a
That's
lot of
another
times you have broken adults.
Oh,
You have broken adults that are
Broken
in
adults.
situations, that are in positions of leadership, that are in position of power. They're broken.
they broken.
But they're in positions of power and in
Mhm.
positions of leadership and in positions of authority,
Yes.
okay?
Mhm.
And have no clue
Yeah.
how to navigate their trauma.
Right.
So when they come into contact with
With
anyone, especially
someone-
a child,
Yeah. Mhm.
okay, that is aware of who they are,
They're intimidated.
not only does it intimidate them, it angers them. And that's why they respond to you harshly.
Mhm.
And
Because
with
because they get mad.
with that, I also think it's a sense of envy.
Yeah.
Like, definitely.
Well, jealousy sits like over here,
Mhm.
and it makes them feel like they're envious of you as the child that has it all together, but they're not whole enough
Mhm.
to
I say-
embrace you.
I say envy compared to jealousy because with envy, they wish that they had, like they feel as if they should have what I have,
Mhm.
like my security in myself, my sense of
Mhm,
identity.
mhm, mhm.
They look at me and they look at me and they're like, wow, she knows who she is. She can speak up for herself. Why can't I do that? I should be able to do that.
Right.
That's when they take out their insecurities on me.
Exactly. And that's not about you.
It's not about
That has nothing to do with you. That's about
That is
them.
a reflection of how they feel about themselves.
How they feel about themselves and they're mad, they get upset. And a lot of times, you know what it is though, Jay? A lot of times it's grief.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's grief.
Yeah.
They grieve who they wish they could be.
Right.
They grieve.
I agree. Jamel.
They grieve what they wish they could do.
Mhm.
Because if I had it to do all over again at that age, would I be like her?
Mhm.
Right? But then they get angry because they realize they never had the opportunity
Right.
to see
Mhm.
if they could be like you, like her. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And listen, everyone is everybody should strive to be who they are,
Right.
who God created them to be,
Right.
right? But what I'm saying is that you have people that they see different traits and characteristics in other people.
Mhm.
And they wish they had the courage to do that, to be that, to say that, to wear that, to go there. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times what I see is, look, I already know I'm too much. I'm too much.
I am too.
I'm too much. And I know, and I'm very well aware of who my people are and who my people are not. And I'm okay with both.
Right. And you can spot them, when you get in their
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons, Jamaro, that I created Grown Ass Woman.
Mhm.
Because people will downplay who you are to make you look like them. So I had to stand up and square my shoulders and look them in the eye and say, I'm a grown ass woman, don't play with me. You know what I'm saying? No, but it was because I own who I am.
Yeah.
I embrace that person. And
Mistakes and all.
yeah. So
That's when you grown. Mistakes and all.
for you adults that's out there, you adult women who don't know what to do when you're trying to get in contact with me. Grown ass woman, I'll help you out. I'm serious.
Tell them how to contact you.
Oh, I can be found on social media, all platforms as Angie Moss or Grown Ass Woman. Or you can contact me at 954-300-1370.
I promise you'll change your life.
I
I'm telling
promise you I will.
It'll be well worth it. It really will. So, and when we're talking about our young people, and let me tell you something. I'm getting ready to look. If you don't have this book,
Okay. All of you readers, get the book.
get it. We are so tired.
Okay.
We are so tired. Now, this amazing book, Mary Frances Winters has a portion in this book that I want to reference, and the chapter is called Out of the Mouth of Babes, Black Children's Fatigue. Even the children tired.
Yes. They tired, right?
Even the children are tired, right? You know, to be young, gifted, and black in these United States of America. Oh my Lord. Help us, right? Help us. So listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm going to read this and then we're going to segue into a very, very even more serious topic, right? So we know there's a part in here called childhood interrupted.
Mhm.
How many children do we know whose childhood was interrupted? Right? Black children often grow up too fast because of their social circumstances and stereotypes about their innocence. Right?
Mhm.
So, because Black children are interpreted or looked at a certain way, a narrative is created about them, right? And so what happens is that people start to expect certain behavior from them.
Because.
And so they start stigmatizing them. So every little freaking thing that they do is nitpick, right?
Mhm.
And criticize,
Yep.
right? And so what happens when you as a grown person continues to get picked on and 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 picked on? What do you do? What do you do?
Eventually, I'm gonna reach out.
You gonna go off,
I'm
right?
gonna go off.
You gonna get them off you, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
One way or another.
One way or another. Children are no different, right? Children are no different, right? So it says they experience the effects of structural racism based on where they live, where and what they learn, their economic means, what they have, and their legal means, how their rights are executed, right? So it says, regarding Black girls compared to white girls of the same age, Black girls are seen as needing less support and nurturing, and as knowing more about adult topics, including sex. So I've seen even the school system and the court system expect Black girls to be able to deal with certain things better than white girls.
Yeah.
I've been in court and seen Black girls sentenced harsher than white girls because, white girls couldn't,
They wouldn't
they wouldn't be able to handle it. I can't tell how many times I've been in court and heard Black girls identified as street smart.
Mm. Are you serious?
You know I ain't lying. You know I ain't lying.
So, okay,
You know I ain't lying, right?
Mhm.
You know I'm not lying,
I got you.
right?
Mhm.
So Black children are perceived to be older and less innocent regardless of social standing, something known as it's called adultification. Adultification, right? Bias. Studies show that Black boys as young as 10 are viewed as older and therefore more responsible for their actions. Whereas white boys of the same age are presumed innocent. We as Black people can feed into the narrative by using names like little man, little lady, as terms of endearment. We also often feed into the stereotype that boys should not cry as it is a sign of weakness. Young Black boys are often taught how to withhold and withdraw to avoid provoking the fear or ear of those around them. Right? Learn behavior. Learn behavior. Taught by who? Taught by home first, taught by the school system, taught by the court system. Learned behavior, right? And so all of this stuff leads.
Can you please say the name of the book?
The name of the book is Black Fatigue. It's by Mary Frances Winter. I'm telling you, I use this book, and Jean can attest to that. I use this book in my human trafficking trainings. And the reason I use this book in my human trafficking training is because, believe it or not, y'all, there's racism and racial bias in the service provision industry. People that provide services to victims. There is racism and bias, okay, in that area. So I have to bring this book in when I'm conducting my trainings, and I pull from this book. I thank Mary Frances Winters for writing this, because let me tell you something, it is amazing. And if I show you my book, it's all highlighted and pages or whatever. But what happens when a person gets tired?
That's
What happens?
like poking.
And what happens though? What can happen when a person gets tired though? They can get what? They get depressed,
Mm-hmm.
right? They start feeling like they start feeling worthless.
Mm-hmm.
They start feeling like
They become suicidal. Some of them.
they become suicidal. So that's what we're gonna segue into right now.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about suicide
Okay.
in our youth. Okay. So I was doing a little research because I'm a nerd. Everybody that know me know I'm a nerd. So suicide is among the leading causes of death within the United States. Suicide related thoughts and behaviors can impact anyone of any gender, age, race, or socioeconomic background, right?
Mm-hmm.
This past Saturday, I went to my cousin's son's funeral. He was 18 years old and he blew his brains out. 18. His funeral was Saturday. I went to his saddest thing I've ever witnessed. I've been to tons of funerals.
Mm-hmm.
Saddest thing I've ever witnessed in my life. My mind, I can't even consume or begin to fathom the grief
Mm-hmm.
that my cousin is experiencing. Like, how do you do that? To lose your child, but then to lose your child that way, right? But that is the story of a lot of parents, a lot of youth. There was a student a couple of weeks ago that took his life at your school. That you knew this young man. He was in some of your classes. So my question to you, Jay, is what are the conversations that you all are having among each other in school? What is going on with the kids? What's going on with y'all? Like, what are y'all talking about when it comes to the stress and what you're going through? Like, what is happening?
With that, there is a lot going on that is going overseen. Because me, I can speak from an academic standpoint, especially with the students. We run a lot of rigorous courses alongside a lot of my friends that are also struggling. You know, we're in all these hard classes, we're in these activities. A lot of us are leaders, so we're officers. We're also trying to just enjoy life as well. And there are so much expectations on us, especially at such a young age, because yes, we are like intellectually able to comprehend the courses that we are taking, but at the end of the day, like I am 16. You telling me to read like the entire chapter and come back to talk about it on Monday when I play sports, I have a job, I'm trying to, maybe hang out with friends if I have the time. And then there's definitely a lack of understanding in the school system, not just in the school system, but also amongst adults. Sometimes like you'll be tired and you're like, oh, why are you tired? Do you have a job? Do you work 9 to 5? All you have to do is go to school and do this. It's like, and then like belittling our emotions like that, it definitely like makes us not want to open up as more. So then you hold it inside until eventually it's too much.
Wow. So, wow. Whoa. You just said a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty.
I am too. I'm sitting over here. I'm like,
I'm guilty.
I am.
Because I have said the same thing to my son. My son went to Pompano Beach High School.
And it is understandable from like an adult perspective. You may be looking at us and you don't see everything that we're doing, especially at a young age, because me as come from an immigrant family, this is what's kind of expected of us. This is the bare minimum. This is what you should be doing. Why are you complaining? And it's no.
I heard it. I heard it.
And then, because it's really no one to blame. It's just that generational cycle.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you say belittling your emotions, and so when you say I'm tired, And that is then received as you being lazy,
Mhm.
right?
Like you're not doing enough,
Yeah.
you should be doing more. Therefore, you continue to push yourself until you eventually get burnt out.
Yeah.
And then once you've eventually crashed, then it's like, why aren't you doing this? You're doing so bad. You should be doing more. It's like, I'm tired. I've been tired before, but now I'm exhausted.
Right, right. So let me ask you this. So are you all are receiving support? Are you
In
all
my school?
at your school?
Yes.
Grief support.
Grief support?
Yes, we have the counselors and also like our teachers are checking in on us.
Okay, okay. Um, did you, like, I mean, when you said you had classes with this young man, did you ever see any signs or anything or?
But that's the thing. A lot of the times you don't see the signs
Mhm, mhm.
because I take a law course and we work together on a trial. I was the lead attorney and he did the opening and the closing, and even just like talking to him about it, to me he seems fine. From the outside looking in, I would have had no idea that anything was going on.
Right.
And that is what happens most of the case. To the outside world, you may present yourself as okay, like you're hanging in there, it's just another day, but you truly do not know what's going on with someone inside.
Mhm.
So when you say things like, oh, why are you tired? You don't do anything, stuff like that hits harder than you think.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. So for you as a young person, in high school, doing all of this stuff, right? And having dialogue with other young people like you, doing all of this stuff, what is it that you as a person with, because I consider you now, I consider you a person with a lived experience, right? You as a young person with this lived experience, what is it that you want to say to the educators, to those that you're spending the majority of your day with, which is at school? Like, what do you think there could have been something um, preventive?
I think just to be more aware that yes, we are students, but we are also people.
Mm.
I didn't do your assignment because I had other things to do. That is human.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean that I'm a bad student, that I'm lazy, that I don't care about your class, that I'm disrespecting you purposefully. No, it just means that I had other stuff to do. And a lot of the times, especially being so young, they don't truly understand that. So I've had some wonderful teachers that, they notice when you're not okay, they check in on you. And I've had teachers that don't care. I've had teachers where like I'm crying during a math test and they're like, why are you still on the same question? I'm so serious.
Wow.
Because like I have to go to school and all that other stuff that I'm carrying with me, I just have to push to the side to do your pre-calculus test.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And see, I'm sitting here and I hear you. And I'm imagining you, but then I'm thinking about the other girls that are at that school that's not in pre-calculus or that doesn't have, you know what I'm saying? It's 10 times worse for them. So you can imagine in their community, meaning in their community of what they're experiencing, it's got to be 10 times worse.
Because I think I can only speak from my perspective.
Yes.
But I know, especially students who aren't in as many rigorous courses, who may not be in that many like activities, it's still hard for them. Whether it is like a relationship or friendship issues, home life, and then a lot of adults or like authority figures in our school are just not understanding that and just being compassionate. Because there is a lot of hostility I face with like security and teachers and administration for what?
Yeah.
Especially when I gave you no reason to act like that towards me.
Right.
But that goes back to the broken people with the
Yeah,
titles.
in authority and leadership. Yeah.
That goes back to that.
Yeah. Ooh, we have a question. Okay. this is for you, I think. How should we approach our children when they express they are tired?
I think not coming with the assumptions. Just come in, just like, hey, like I am here for whatever you need. Because a lot of approaches like, all right, like what's wrong? What can I do? Sometimes we don't know what's wrong or we can't verbally express it. Because that is a big thing. And then a lot of times they associate that as, well, if you can't say it, there's nothing wrong. 'Cause that's a big one.
So if you're incapable of verbalizing it, then it doesn't
It
exist.
exists, yeah.
You're making it up.
Because that's why I've had to just become more expressive of myself verbally, but a lot of people haven't reached that ability, which is why, yeah, we're gonna speak out and we're going to ask for help, but we're not like receiving it on the other end,
God, that was good. That was good. That was eye opening
Yes.
because a lot of times, because I know a lot of adults or feel things sometimes and they're incapable or not able to verbally express them, right? And we are treated like if we can't verbally express what we're feeling and why we're feeling that way, then it's our stress is mitigated.
Right.
People downplay it. I never even considered what that's like for a child that's happening to. You know what I'm saying? And God, that is so dangerous. That is so dangerous. And the fact that you just said, a lot of times you don't know what's wrong. And this is the thing that I think people don't understand. Your body talks louder than your words. Your body is louder than your voice, right? Your body will tell you that something is wrong with you. That's just like if you getting sick and you know you don't feel good, but you don't know what's wrong, but you know something is wrong with you. Something doesn't feel right. That's no different than you feeling the way that you're feeling, and you're like, I'm so tired. I need help. And the adult people saying, well, what is it? What's going on? What do you need?
Because I know a lot of the times the mentality is like, all right, what's the problem? Let's find a solution.
Right.
But it's not as black and white as you're making it seem. Because sometimes I genuinely cannot tell you what the problem is. Like, I'm still trying to figure out that myself. So for you to come here and ask me, like, what's wrong? And then when I respond with, I don't know, then like, is there anything wrong? Or what do you mean you don't know? How do you not know? I don't know.
Right. So basically, it's basically saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I've experienced this too, where I've been in that place. But I haven't been able to verbalize it. But me telling you that I'm not okay is me telling you that I need space. I need time to care for myself so I can identify
what that is.
What it is going on with me, right? And a lot of times is when people feel like they have the authority to fix you, but they only have the ability to fix you unless you tell them what's wrong with you, right? And if you can't tell them what's wrong with you, they get mad because they can't fix you. But when you haven't asked to be fixed, you just asked to be heard.
Yes, I love how you said that.
And for me, that's how I see it. But I gotta say, I never even considered looking at it from a child's perspective.
And sitting over here, I'm thinking about just my past month of what I've been going through as an adult. And if you've been following me on social media, I'm just like in this space. And everybody's calling, they want to know what's wrong. And I didn't have a story to give them. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I knew I needed that space. And I just wanted to, I wanted to express myself, however that may be, but I wanted the space so I can get myself into a place that I feel okay again.
Right.
And it wasn't that I didn't know what was wrong. I knew what was wrong, but I didn't want to share with you what was wrong because you can't fix it.
That's another thing as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Because even, it's not all the time where I'm feeling something or my peers and we don't know what's wrong. Even if we do, a lot of times people are like, oh, talk to me. But you can't do anything about it.
Right.
And honestly, I don't want to waste my breath. Because, like, realistically speaking, and a lot of times they start to pity you and treat you different. And then they think that you're not as capable to do what you've been doing. Because, like, all right, yes, I have my issues. Yes, I have stuff going on. But at the end of the day, I'm still able to manage my responsibilities in my daily life.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So I hope that the suicide numbers is okay. So I'm gonna read the suicide hotline number. So the Department of Children and Families Office of Substance Abuse and Mental Health Suicide Prevention and Coordinated Council annual report is out. The 2021 annual report is out. I would encourage you all to it's available. All you have to do is Google it. I would encourage you all, especially if you're a parent with a child in middle school, a child in high school, please go read this report. Please go read this report.
And not even just middle or high school, but elementary
elementary,
school. So you can prevent it from even getting to that.
Right.
Because that is where it starts.
Good point. Absolutely. So the number is 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. That is the suicide hotline. I want to just talk a little bit about some of the research that I did. So the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, common warning signs, right? For suicide-related thoughts. And so they have 3 categories. They talk about talk, they talk about mood, and they talk about behavior, right? And so some of the warning signs that they're talking about is when you hear someone talking about being a burden to others, flat out saying that they are thinking about killing themselves, they're talking about they're experiencing unbearable pain, that they're in pain. And we need to understand and stop being have tunnel vision with words. Because if I tell you I'm in pain, and if I'm not physically hurting, that doesn't mean that I'm not in pain.
Right.
Right? Having no reason to live and saying how they feel trapped, right? These are all things that the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention say are common warning signs when a person is speaking these things, okay? And then they talk about mood. When a person loses interest, okay, in things that they once had interest in. When you start seeing the signs of depression, when you start seeing the irritability, when you start seeing the anxiety, when they start to feel humiliated about every little thing, right? And when they start having these spouts of rage, right? And then they talk about behavior. Remember I said talk, mood, and behavior. These are some of the things. It says increased use of alcohol or drugs, withdrawing from activities, isolating themselves from family and friends, giving away their prized possessions, things that mean a lot to them, things that they would never part with. Sleeping too little and sleeping too much. Looking for a way to kill themselves, such as looking at stuff online, you know what I'm saying? Looking for materials or means. Start visiting people, calling them, making goodbye speeches and things like that. Acting recklessly with their life. Just don't care anymore whether they live or die. And aggression, right? And so also they were talking about some of the language and stigma. Language is a big deal for me, and Jean. And so I found this very interesting when they were talking about language and they were talking about things to say and don't say and why. So we're talking about language to decrease the stigma, right? And so they were saying, say this, non-fatal, made an attempt on his or her life. But they don't want you to say unsuccessful suicide. Right? Why don't they want you to say that? They don't want you to say that because this avoids presenting suicide as a desirable outcome or glamorizing the suicide attempt. Right? Then they have another one. This is the appropriate thing to say. Took their own life, died by suicide, or ended their own life. This is what you don't say. Successful suicide or completed suicide. Why? Because this avoids presenting suicide as a desirable outcome. You know how we like to glamorize stuff? Say this. Died by suicide or ended his, her, or their own life. Don't say committed or commit suicide. Why? This avoids the association between suicide and a crime. Interesting, right? Say this concerning rates of suicide. Don't say suicide epidemic. Why? This avoids the sensationalism and the inaccurate reporting of suicide experiences, right? So I looked at some statistics. I went to Vital Statistics and the Florida Department of Health and Bureau of Vital Statistics. Y'all know I'm a nerd. So they gave me numbers for 2015 and numbers for 2020, and they compared them. Now, I found this was interesting. Age groups 5 to 14 was removed to maintain privacy since it had fewer than 50 deaths across all years, right? But in 2000, for ages 15 to 24, in 2015, according to Florida Vital Statistics, there were 276 suicides. In 2020, there were 313, which was a 13% increase, right? 25 to 34, 398 suicides. 2020, 468, which was an 18% increase, right? So we know that there is a problem, right?
A big problem.
We know that there is a problem. And so before we leave, we have about 3 minutes. Y'all know we leave with a word, right? So before we leave, I want to give Jade an opportunity to say something to the people before we leave out of here, right? No, just, whatever you want real quick.
Well, I want to say thank you guys again for having me here. This was an amazing opportunity, and these are some lovely people that I have had the honor of working with, and I've definitely enjoyed. And I would love to definitely keep in contact, and maybe we can come back.
Of course. What about you, Angie?
Well, I want to say this. Even though we're speaking to a young lady this evening, we want you all to take time and let what we've said and what you heard on this platform to help you to get to a better place. We're never too old to learn.
Okay, so we're gonna go out with our last reading. And this is mine. I wrote this. This is authentic. This is actually in my book. Sister. Look at that. You buy your lady your book for Christmas. $15. See me, okay? #1 Amazon bestseller. Now, it is so easy to lose your identity to and in your tragedy and trauma. You will start to call yourself by your tragedy and trauma. Then you begin to answer when someone calls you by your tragedy and your trauma. This makes it hard to move on, hard to heal. Once you name yourself your trauma, when it calls you, you will answer and you begin to identify with all the bad and the ugly stuff that's happened to you. It becomes hard to reconcile that, yes, it happened to you, but that's not who you are. You find it hard to be anything other than the trauma, the bad stuff, the ugly stuff. You are not what happened to you. Yes, it happened to you, but that is not who you are. Your name is not pain, abuse, neglect, dirty, whore, bitch, slut, skank, nobody, worthless, nasty, or victim. You are not a loser. You are not dumb, and you are not stupid. When the tragedies and traumas of your past attempt to trespass and take over, I want you to stand up straight, put your shoulders back, hold your head up, and call yourself who you were created to be, and that is a child of God, fearfully and wonderfully made. The word of God tells us that what man thinketh, so is he. Think better of yourself and be bold in the assurance that you are not what happened to you. Stop apologizing for strength and stop being ashamed of surviving. You are here for a purpose. You count, you matter, and you are worthy of life, freedom, and safety. So I encourage you all to go on and be free. Thank you so much for joining us for another night of Sister to Sister. Join us again next month. We will be back. Thank you so much.
It needed to be said.